found the prenup in his gym bag, the one he told me we didn't need because he loved me for who I was, not what I had, except this prenup was different. It was unsigned, undated, and it had a handwritten note attached that said, "Once we hit the 2-year mark, California law kicks in. She'll have to split everything, just keep her happy until then." That's when I realized my husband didn't marry me for love. He married me for my $18 million trust fund. My name is Victoria Ashford, and this is the story of how I discovered that my perfect marriage was actually an elaborate con. How my husband systematically manipulated, lied, cheated, and stole from me for 3 years. How he had a whole other life I knew nothing about. And how when I finally confronted him with evidence, he didn't apologize. He tried to make me disappear, but what he didn't know was that I'd been 3 steps ahead of him for months. And I had a plan that would cost him everything. Let me start from the beginning, because financial betrayal in marriage doesn't start with stolen money, it starts with stolen trust. And by the time you realize what's happening, they've already taken more than you ever knew you had. I'm 32 years old. I grew up in San Francisco. My family has money, real money. My grandfather built a tech company in the 80s that he sold for hundreds of millions. My father invested that money brilliantly. Real estate, stocks, venture capital. By the time I was born, the family wealth was generational. I'm an only child. My parents, Richard and Catherine Ashford, raised me with privilege but also with responsibility. I went to private schools, Stanford University, got my MBA. I worked in the family investment firm, but I also had my own career. I'm a venture capitalist. I find startups, invest in them, help them grow. I'm good at it. I've made my own money on top of my family money. When my grandmother died, she left me a trust fund, $18 million. I was 28 when I received it. It was managed by lawyers and financial advisors, but it was mine. I'm telling you this not to brag, but so you understand the context. I had money, lots of it, and that made me a target. I just didn't know it yet. Growing up wealthy taught me to be cautious about relationships. I'd seen friends used for their money. I'd had boyfriends who were more interested in my last name than my personality, so I was careful, guarded, maybe too guarded. By the time I was 30, I'd had a few serious relationships, but nothing that led to marriage. I was focused on my career, on building something meaningful. I figured love would come when it was supposed to. I met Daniel Harrison 2 years ago, at a charity gala in San Francisco, one of those black tie events where tech money and old money mix. I went because my mother was on the board. I didn't want to go. I hate those events, but family obligation won. Daniel was working the event, not as a guest, as a photographer. He was hired to document the evening for the non-profit. I noticed him because he wasn't trying to schmooze with wealthy people like the other vendors. He was focused on his work, professional, quiet. During a break, we ended up near the bar at the same time. He ordered water, I ordered champagne. He smiled at me, said something about how he bet I'd rather be anywhere else. I laughed, asked how he could tell. He said photographers learn to read people, that I had the look of someone performing a role rather than enjoying a party. He was right, and I appreciated that he saw it. We talked for 20 minutes, about art, photography, the absurdity of $5,000 plate charity dinners. He was smart, funny, down to earth. He didn't ask what I did for work, didn't care about my last name, just talked to me like a person. I liked that a lot. At the end of the night, he asked if he could take my photo for his personal portfolio, not for the event, just because he thought I had an interesting face. I said yes. He took a few shots, then he gave me his card, said if I ever wanted to see them I could email him. I kept the card. 3 days later I emailed him. He sent the photos, they were beautiful. He'd captured something in my expression I'd never seen before, softness, vulnerability, like he saw past the armor I usually wore. I told him I loved them. He asked if I'd like to grab coffee sometime. I said yes. We met at a small cafe in the Mission District, far from my usual haunts. He showed up in jeans and a vintage t-shirt. I wore casual clothes too, trying to be normal, approachable. We talked for 3 hours about everything, our childhoods, our dreams, our failures. He told me he grew up in Sacramento, middle-class family. His dad was a high school teacher, his mom was a nurse. He studied photography at a state school, worked his way through college. He'd been in San Francisco for 5 years, building his career, doing events, weddings, commercial work. He loved photography but admitted it was hard to make a living. He had student loans, lived in a small apartment with roommates, but he was passionate about his work. I found his struggle relatable. Even though our financial situations were completely different, I understood the pressure to prove yourself, to build something meaningful. He asked about my work. I told him I was in venture capital, didn't mention my family or the trust fund, just said I helped startups get funding. He seemed impressed, said that sounded challenging, asked thoughtful questions about the tech industry. Everything felt easy, natural, like talking to someone I'd known for years. At the end of coffee, he asked if he could see me again. I said yes. We started dating, slowly at first. Dinner dates, museum visits, walks through Golden Gate Park. He'd take photos of the city, of me. He had this way of making ordinary moments feel special. A month in, he still didn't know about my family wealth. I'd been careful, paid for things in cash, met in casual places, kept conversation away from money. But one night he picked me up from my apartment. I lived in Pacific Heights, a penthouse I owned outright. There was no hiding the wealth anymore. When he walked in, his eyes widened. He looked around at the space, the view, the art on the walls. He said, "Wow, this is your place." I tensed, waiting for the shift, the moment men usually change when they realize how much money I have. But Daniel just smiled, said it was beautiful, asked if I'd given input on the design. We talked about architecture and interior design. He didn't ask how I afforded it, didn't pry, just appreciated it as a space. I relaxed. Maybe he was different. Maybe he really didn't care about the money. Looking back now, I realized that was the first test, and he passed it by acting exactly like someone who didn't care about money, because he knew that's what I wanted to see. Our relationship progressed. 6 months in, I was falling in love. Daniel was attentive, thoughtful. He'd bring me coffee in the morning, leave little notes, take me on creative dates that didn't cost much but meant everything. He never asked me for money, never seemed resentful that I had more than him. When I'd offer to pay for nice dinners, he'd sometimes insist on paying, said he wanted to take care of me too. I appreciated that. It felt like he had pride, independence, like he wasn't trying to use me. What I didn't know was that he was already using me, in ways I couldn't see yet. About 8 months into dating, Daniel started having financial troubles. His camera equipment broke, expensive repairs. He mentioned it casually, didn't ask for help, just seemed stressed. I offered to lend him money. He refused, said he'd figure it out. I insisted, said it wasn't a big deal, that I wanted to help. He finally accepted, $5,000. He promised to pay me back. I said don't worry about it. He paid me back 3 months later, every penny with interest. I was impressed. Most people wouldn't have paid it back, but Daniel did. It made me trust him more. Now I know that was part of the plan. Pay back the small loan to build trust for the bigger con later. A year into our relationship, Daniel proposed. We were on a trip to Big Sur, hiking in the redwoods. He got down on one knee with a simple ring, not expensive, just thoughtful. He said he didn't have much to offer materially, but he could offer love, partnership, a life built together. I said yes, not because of the romance, but because I genuinely believed he loved me for me. I told my parents. They were cautious. My father asked questions about Daniel's background, his finances, his family. I got defensive, said I wasn't marrying him for his money, that he made me happy. My father said he just wanted to protect me, that we should have a prenup, just to be safe. I was offended. Said if Daniel was marrying me for money, a prenup would reveal that, but I didn't think he was. My father insisted, said it was standard practice in families like ours, that it protected both parties. I reluctantly agreed, asked my lawyer to draft a simple prenup. It stated that assets owned before marriage remained separate, assets acquired during marriage would be split fairly, standard stuff. I gave it to Daniel, waited for his reaction. He read it carefully, then looked at me and said, I understand why your family wants this, but I need you to know something. I'm not marrying you for your money, I'm marrying you because I love you. If you want me to sign this, I will, but I'd rather not. I'd rather just trust each other. His words melted me. He was choosing trust over legal protection. He was vulnerable, honest. I told my father. Daniel refused to sign. My father was furious, said that was a red flag. but I saw it differently. I saw it as proof that Daniel loved me, that he wasn't calculating, wasn't strategic. We got married without a prenup. Small ceremony, close friends and family. My parents attended, but they weren't thrilled. Daniel's family came from Sacramento, sweet people, working class, proud of their son. Everything felt right, like I'd found my person, like I'd beaten the odds and found someone who loved me for me. I was so wrong. The first year of marriage was beautiful. We moved into my penthouse together. Daniel kept his photography business. I continued my venture capital work. We traveled, hosted dinner parties, built a life. Daniel was supportive of my career. He'd ask about my investments, my strategy, seemed genuinely interested. I started including him in financial decisions, not because I had to, but because I wanted a partnership. I wanted transparency. Big mistake. I added Daniel to my bank accounts, joint accounts. It made sense for a married couple, simplified finances, showed trust. I also added him as a beneficiary on my life insurance, $2 million, standard practice for spouses. I updated my will, left him a significant portion of my estate if something happened to me. All normal things married people do, but every single change gave him more access, more power, more to gain. About 18 months into our marriage, I noticed small things, charges on our joint credit card I didn't recognize, withdrawals from our account, not huge amounts, a few hundred here, 1,000 there. When I asked Daniel about them, he had explanations: new equipment for work, business expenses, travel costs for photo shoots. It made sense. His business was growing. He needed to invest in it. But the amounts kept increasing. 5,000, 10,000. I started paying closer attention. I asked to see his business financials, just out of curiosity. How was the photography business doing? He seemed defensive, said business was fine, that he had it under control. I pushed, said we were married, that I just wanted to help if I could. He showed me some invoices, some client contracts, everything looked legitimate. But something felt off. I couldn't pinpoint what. Around the same time, Daniel started traveling more. Photo shoots in Los Angeles, New York, sometimes week-long trips. I didn't mind. I traveled for work too. We were both busy professionals. But his behavior on these trips was odd. He'd be hard to reach. Say he was on set and couldn't talk. Text responses would be delayed. One time I tried to surprise him. He said he was shooting a wedding in Los Angeles. I had a meeting there anyway. I texted that I'd stop by the venue to say hi. He panicked, said it was a private event, that clients didn't want uninvited guests, that it would be unprofessional. I backed off, but it felt strange. I started noticing other things. Daniel would get texts and immediately turn his phone over. He'd take calls in another room. He changed his passcode. When I asked why, he said he'd had a security scare. Someone tried to hack his cloud storage. He was being more careful. Reasonable explanation, but the pattern was forming. 2 years into our marriage, the financial irregularities got bigger. I noticed a wire transfer from our joint account, $50,000, to an account I didn't recognize. I asked Daniel about it. He said it was an investment. A friend had a startup opportunity. He wanted to get in early. I was a venture capitalist. Investment was literally my job. Why didn't he ask me to evaluate it? He said he didn't want to bother me, that it was his money too, that he could make financial decisions. Technically he was right, joint account, joint decisions. But $50,000 without discussion, that seemed wrong. I asked details about the investment, company name, sector, expected return. He was vague, said it was early stage, that his friend was keeping it quiet. Red flags everywhere, but I still didn't want to believe my husband was lying to me. I started doing something I'm not proud of. I started tracking our finances more carefully, monitoring accounts, watching for suspicious activity. And I found it, lots of it. Over the past 2 years, Daniel had moved over $200,000 from our accounts to various places, some to business expenses, some to investments, some just withdrawals. $200,000 gone. I felt sick. Was he gambling? Did he have a drug problem? Was he in debt? I confronted him, showed him the transactions, asked him to explain. He got angry, said I was being controlling, that I was treating him like a child, that just because I had more money didn't mean I could monitor his every move. I said this wasn't about control, it was about transparency, about partnership. He said he was building his own business, trying to be successful, that I should support him, not interrogate him. The conversation ended badly. We didn't speak for 2 days. Finally, Daniel apologized, said he'd been defensive because he was stressed, that his business was struggling, that he'd made some bad investments, that he was embarrassed. He promised to be more transparent, to include me in decisions, to rebuild trust. I wanted to believe him, so I did. But I also started protecting myself, quietly. I opened a separate bank account, moved most of my liquid assets there, left enough in the joint account for household expenses, but protected the bulk of my wealth. I also hired a private investigator. I know how it sounds, but I needed to know if my husband was lying to me about other things. The investigator's name was Marcus Chen, former police detective, now specialized in infidelity and financial fraud cases. I gave him all the information I had, the suspicious transactions, the travel, the secretive behavior. Marcus said he'd dig, might take a few weeks, asked if I was sure I wanted to know what he found. I said yes, I needed the truth. While Marcus investigated, I watched Daniel more carefully, his patterns, his behavior. I noticed he'd go to the gym a lot, sometimes twice a day, for hours. That seemed excessive. One day I decided to check. I showed up at his gym unannounced. The front desk said they hadn't seen him, that he wasn't a member there. So where was he going when he said he was at the gym? I started finding excuses to check his things, his car, his bag, his laptop. That's when I found the prenup, in his gym bag, hidden in a zippered pocket. It was a draft prenup, unsigned, dated 3 months before we got married. But that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was the handwritten note attached. Once we hit the 2-year mark, California law kicks in. She'll have to split everything, just keep her happy until then. After 2 years, even without a prenup, you'll have a claim to half her assets. String it along to 3 years to be safe, then you can cash out however you want. I read it 3 times, trying to make sense of it. My husband had planned this, from the beginning. The refusal to sign my family's prenup wasn't about trust, it was strategic. He knew California marital property law. He knew that after enough time, he'd have a legal claim to my wealth even without my consent. He'd been playing me for 3 years, and I'd fallen for every second of it. I took photos of the prenup and the note, put everything back exactly where I found it. Then I called Marcus, told him to accelerate the investigation, that I needed everything he could find, now. Marcus called me back 3 days later, said we needed to meet in person. We met at a coffee shop far from my neighborhood. He handed me a folder. He said, "Victoria, I'm sorry, this is worse than you thought." I opened the folder. Inside were photos, lots of photos, Daniel with another woman, multiple women actually, at restaurants, hotels, entering apartments. Marcus had followed him for a week. During that week, Daniel met with 3 different women, all romantic, intimate, not business. But it got worse. Marcus had run background checks on Daniel. His real name was Daniel Harrison, but he'd gone by other names before, in other cities. He had a pattern. He'd done this before, in Seattle, in Portland, in Los Angeles. He'd targeted wealthy women, married them or entered long-term relationships, gained access to their finances, then disappeared with as much as he could take. He'd been married twice before, both times to women with money. Both marriages ended around the 3-year mark. Both times he walked away with settlements. He wasn't a photographer building a business. He was a professional con artist, and I was his latest mark. Marcus said there was more. He traced some of the money Daniel had taken. It wasn't going to investments or business expenses. It was going to offshore accounts set up in shell companies. Daniel was hiding money, preparing for the divorce he'd already planned. I felt like I was going to be sick. Everything was a lie, every moment, every kiss, every "I love you." I asked Marcus what I should do. He said I had options. I could confront Daniel, file for divorce, try to recover the stolen money through legal channels. But he warned me, men like Daniel don't respond well to being caught. They get desperate, dangerous. He said if I was going to move against him, I needed to be strategic, protect myself physically and financially. I went home that night. Daniel was there cooking dinner. He smiled when I walked in, kissed me, asked about my day. I smiled back, said it was fine, acted completely normal. Because I knew now, I was living with a predator, and if he knew, I didn't know what he'd do. I needed a plan, a good one. Over the next 2 weeks I built my case. I worked with Marcus to gather more evidence, photos, financial records, background checks on his previous victims. I contacted the women he'd scammed before. 2 of them agreed to talk to me. They shared their stories, nearly identical to mine. He used the same lines, the same strategies, the same timeline. One woman, Jennifer, told me he'd gotten violent when she confronted him, that he'd threatened her, that she'd paid him off just to make him go away. I realized I was in danger, real danger. I consulted with a lawyer, a shark, top divorce attorney in San Francisco. Her name was Patricia Monroe. I showed her everything, the prenup note, the financial records, Marcus's investigation, the evidence of previous cons. Patricia smiled, said this was going to be fun. She explained the strategy. We'd file for divorce with a full accounting of his fraud. We'd seek criminal charges for theft and fraud. We'd freeze all accounts he had access to. We'd go nuclear. But first we had to protect me, physically, financially, legally. Patricia helped me move my assets into a protected trust, one Daniel couldn't touch even if he tried. She also advised me to install security at my home, cameras, alarms, document everything. And she said when I confronted him, I should have witnesses, never be alone with him once he knows. I spent 3 weeks preparing, building an airtight case, protecting every asset, planning every move. Then one Saturday morning I was ready. I'd arranged for my father and Marcus to be at the apartment, as witnesses and protection. Daniel was in the kitchen making breakfast, completely oblivious. I walked in with the folder. Patricia was on video call as a witness. I said, "Daniel, we need to talk." He looked up, saw my expression, saw the folder, saw my father and Marcus standing behind me. His face changed. The mask slipped for just a second. I saw who he really was, cold, calculating, angry. He said, "What's going on?" I opened the folder, showed him the photos, the financial records, the background checks, the prenup note I'd found. I said, "I know everything. I know who you really are. I know about Seattle, Portland, Los Angeles. I know about the other women, the stolen money, all of it." He tried to act confused, said I was crazy, that I'd misunderstood. I said, "I have 3 of your ex-victims ready to testify. I have financial records showing you've stolen over $300,000 from me. I have evidence of multiple instances of fraud. My lawyer is filing for divorce this morning, and we're pressing criminal charges." His expression went from fake confusion to pure rage. He stood up fast, took a step toward me. My father and Marcus stepped forward. Marcus said, "Don't even think about it." Daniel stopped, looked at all of us, realized he was caught. Then he tried a different tactic. He started crying, said he loved me, that he'd made mistakes, that he wanted to make it right. I said, "You're a liar, a con artist, and you're done, you need to leave now." He said this was his home too, that I couldn't just kick him out. Patricia's voice came through the laptop. "Actually, she can. The apartment is in her name only, owned before marriage. You have no legal claim to it. You have 1 hour to pack your things and leave. If you're not gone, we call the police." Daniel's face twisted. He said, "You're going to regret this. You have no idea what I'm capable of." Marcus stepped closer, said, "That sounded like a threat. Say something like that again and you'll be arrested before you leave this room." Daniel grabbed his keys, said he'd be back for his things. I said, "You have 1 hour. After that, the locks change." He left, slammed the door. The second he was gone, I broke down, started shaking, crying, 3 years of my life, 3 years of lies. My father held me, said he was proud of me for being strong, for standing up for myself. But it wasn't over, I knew that. Daniel wasn't going to go quietly. Patricia filed for divorce that afternoon. We also filed a civil suit for fraud and theft. We contacted the district attorney's office about criminal charges. Daniel lawyered up, hired a defense attorney, started fighting back. His lawyer claimed everything was a misunderstanding, that Daniel had full access to joint accounts legally, that there was no fraud, that I was just a bitter wife making false accusations. But we had evidence, overwhelming evidence. Patricia was brilliant. She buried his lawyer in documentation, financial records, witness statements, paper trail showing systematic theft. The case took 8 months, 8 months of legal battles, court appearances, depositions. During that time, Daniel tried everything. He tried to apologize, tried to win me back. When that didn't work, he tried intimidation, threatening texts, showing up at my office, following me. I documented everything, got restraining orders, had security with me constantly. He also tried to sway public opinion, went to the media, claimed he was a poor photographer taken advantage of by a rich, vindictive woman, that I'd used him and thrown him away. Some people believed him, but most saw through it, especially when Patricia leaked some of the evidence to friendly journalists. The narrative shifted. Daniel went from sympathetic victim to exposed con artist. His photography business collapsed, clients dropped him, his reputation was destroyed. Meanwhile, the criminal investigation moved forward. The DA found enough evidence to charge him with felony fraud and grand theft. Daniel took a plea deal, 3 years probation, restitution of all stolen money, and if he violated probation, he'd go to prison. The divorce was finalized. He got nothing, no alimony, no property, no portion of my assets. The court ruled that the marriage was entered into fraudulently, that he'd deceived me from the start. I was awarded full restitution, $300,000 plus legal fees. Daniel couldn't pay it all at once. His wages were garnished. He'd be paying me back for years. He also had to pay restitution to his previous victims. The criminal investigation had uncovered 2 more women he'd scammed. In total, Daniel owed nearly $1 million to women he'd used and lied to. He left California. Last I heard, he was in Arizona, working a regular job, living in a small apartment. His con artist days were over. No one would trust him now. As for me, the recovery took time. Therapy, lots of therapy, processing the betrayal, the manipulation, the fear. I had to rebuild my ability to trust, not just in romantic relationships, but in people generally. I'd been so careful my whole life, so guarded, and I still got conned. That was hard to accept. My therapist, Dr. Lisa Park, helped me understand that it wasn't my fault, that con artists are experts at manipulation, that they exploit good qualities like trust and love. She said the fact that I could love and trust so deeply wasn't a weakness, it was a strength. I just needed better tools to protect myself. I spent a year focusing on healing, on rebuilding, on remembering who I was outside of that relationship. I reconnected with friends I'd neglected during the marriage, spent more time with family, dove deeper into my work. I also became an advocate. I started speaking publicly about financial fraud in relationships, about protecting yourself, about red flags to watch for. I connected with other victims of romantic cons, started a support group. We shared stories, strategies, healing. Turning my pain into purpose helped, made the experience feel less like pure loss and more like hard-won wisdom. About 18 months after the divorce, I started dating again, very carefully, very slowly. I met someone named Michael, a non-profit director, kind, genuine, patient with my trust issues. We've been together a year now. It's different this time. I'm different. I don't ignore red flags. I verify trust before I give it. I protect myself while also staying open. Michael knows my story. He's never pushed me, never asked about my money, never tried to rush me. He's building his own career, his own life. He sees me as a partner, not a bank account. Is it perfect? No, I still have moments of paranoia, moments where I wonder if I'm being played again. But I'm learning to trust my instincts, to trust myself, and slowly to trust him. Looking back on Daniel, I've worked through most of the anger. What's left is mostly pity. He's 50 years old and has nothing. No real relationships, no real career, just a trail of burned bridges and legal judgments. He spent his whole life taking from others instead of building for himself, and now he has nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, I rebuilt. I'm stronger, wiser, more successful than ever. I expanded my venture capital firm. I'm mentoring young women in business. I've invested in several companies founded by women who have overcome adversity. I turned my pain into power, my betrayal into purpose. Did Daniel take 3 years of my life? Yes. Did he steal money from me? Yes. Did he damage my ability to trust? Yes. But he didn't break me, he didn't destroy me, he didn't win. I'm still here, still standing, still building, still loving. And that's the real victory. Because the goal of people like Daniel is to break you, to take everything and leave you empty. But I refuse to be empty. I refuse to let him define my story. I define my own story, and it's one of resilience, of strength, of justice. I think about the note he wrote. Just keep her happy until then, like I was a mark to be managed, a resource to be exploited. He kept me happy by pretending to love me, by performing a role, by saying what I wanted to hear. But he never actually knew me, never saw me, never cared about the real person I am. He was so focused on my bank account that he missed everything else, my intelligence, my strength, my capacity to fight back. And that's what ultimately destroyed him, his underestimation of me. He thought I'd be an easy mark, a rich, lonely woman desperate for love, someone who'd be too embarrassed to fight back when caught. He was so wrong. I fought back with everything I had, and I won. Not just in court, but in life. I recovered financially, emotionally, spiritually. And I helped other women do the same. That's the part that matters most, turning my nightmare into something that helps others. Every woman I've spoken to who's been through romantic fraud says the same thing. They felt stupid, ashamed, like they should have known better. But con artists are professionals. They're skilled at deception, at reading people, at exploiting vulnerabilities. You're not stupid for being conned. You're human for wanting to believe in love. The stupidity is on them, for choosing a life of lies, for building nothing real. I have real things now, real relationships, real success, real peace. Daniel has nothing real, just debt and regret. And that's karma, real karma, not revenge I had to create, just natural consequences of his choices. He chose lies, I chose truth. He chose taking, I chose building. And in the long run, truth and building win, always. If there's one thing I want people to take from my story, it's this: protect yourself, even when you're in love, especially when you're in love. Keep some financial independence, keep your own accounts, don't give anyone complete access to everything. It's not about lack of trust, it's about self-preservation, about having a safety net. If the relationship is real, your partner will understand. If they resist, that's a red flag. Daniel resisted, framed it as romantic trust, but really he just wanted unrestricted access to my money. A real partner doesn't need access to everything. They respect boundaries, they build together while maintaining independence. That's what I have with Michael now. We keep separate finances, we split costs fairly, we're building together without depending on each other financially. It's healthier, more equal, more sustainable. And it protects both of us. If something goes wrong, neither of us is financially destroyed. I also learned to listen to my family. My father knew something was off about Daniel. He pushed for the prenup. He tried to protect me. I dismissed his concerns as overprotective, as classist, as not trusting my judgment. But he was right. His instincts were right. I should have listened, should have at least considered his concerns more seriously. I won't make that mistake again. I value outside perspectives now, especially from people who love me and have nothing to gain from the relationship. Another lesson: document everything. If something feels off, keep records. I started tracking finances early, keeping screenshots, noting suspicious behavior. That documentation saved me, gave me evidence, gave me power. Without it, it would have been he said, she said, harder to prove, harder to win. But I had receipts, literal receipts, and they told the undeniable truth. I also learned the importance of good legal representation. Patricia was worth every penny. She fought for me when I was too tired to fight for myself. She knew the law, knew the strategies, knew how to win. If you're in a situation like mine, get the best lawyer you can afford. It makes all the difference. And finally, I learned about resilience, about the human capacity to survive betrayal and come out stronger. I didn't think I'd survive this. There were days I didn't want to. The humiliation, the heartbreak, the violation of trust, it was overwhelming. But I did survive, day by day, therapy session by therapy session, court date by court date. And now I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving. I'm happy, genuinely happy, happier than I was during my marriage to Daniel. Because that happiness was built on lies, this happiness is built on truth. And truth is a much stronger foundation. Daniel tried to destroy me, instead he revealed me, showed me how strong I actually am. I survived his worst, I can survive anything. And that knowledge is powerful, freeing. I'm not afraid anymore, not of betrayal, not of loss, not of being alone. I know I can rebuild, I know I can fight back, I know I can win. That confidence has changed my life, my career, my relationships, everything. I walk into rooms differently now, I negotiate differently, I love differently. I'm not the naive, trusting woman Daniel married, I'm someone who's been tested and proven strong. And I wouldn't trade that strength for anything, not even to erase the pain that created it. Because pain is temporary, but the lessons are permanent. I learned who I am, what I'm capable of, what I deserve. And I'll never settle for less again. Daniel taught me that lesson, unintentionally, but he taught it well. And for that, in a strange way, I'm almost grateful, not grateful for the betrayal, but grateful for the growth it forced. I'm a better investor now, more skeptical, more thorough in due diligence. I'm a better friend, more present, more appreciative of real relationships. I'm a better daughter, I reconciled with my parents, apologized for dismissing their concerns, rebuilt trust. I'm a better version of myself, forged in fire, tested and proven. Daniel is a worse version of himself, still running cons probably, still lying, still empty. That's the difference between us. I learned, grew, changed. He stayed the same, and the same sad pattern will repeat until he faces real consequences. Maybe the criminal charges will change him, maybe probation will force him to get honest. But I doubt it. Con artists rarely change, because changing requires admitting you were wrong, and they're too narcissistic for that. They blame victims, blame circumstances, never themselves. Daniel blamed me, said I drove him to it with my wealth, with my family's expectations. But millions of people marry wealthy partners and don't steal from them. His actions were his choice, his character flaw, his responsibility. And the consequences are his to bear. I've let go of the anger, but I haven't forgiven, and I never will. Forgiveness would require him earning it, showing genuine remorse, making real amends. He's done none of that, he's only sorry he got caught. So I've simply moved on, he's irrelevant to my life now. A painful chapter, a hard lesson, but not my whole story. I'm writing new chapters now, better ones, honest ones. With people who deserve to be in my life, who add value, who see me. Daniel never saw me, he only saw dollar signs. Michael sees me, my friends see me, my family sees me. And I see myself now, clearly, without the distortion of someone else's lies. That's freedom, real freedom. Not the temporary rush of revenge, but the lasting peace of truth. I have truth in my life now, in my relationships, in my work, in myself. And truth is what matters, truth is what lasts. Daniel built his life on lies, and it collapsed, as it always does. I'm building my life on truth, and it's solid, unshakable. He can't touch me anymore, he can't hurt me, he can't take anything else from me. I'm protected, not just by lawyers and bank accounts, but by wisdom, by boundaries, by self-respect. And that protection is permanent. I'll never be as vulnerable as I was with Daniel, not because I'm closed off, but because I'm smarter. I know the red flags now, the patterns, the manipulation tactics. I can spot a con from miles away, because I've lived through one. That knowledge is power, and I wield it well. In my work, I help other women protect their assets. I teach financial literacy. I share my story as a cautionary tale. And women thank me, say it helped them, say it made them more careful, more aware. That's impact, real impact, turning tragedy into teaching. Daniel wanted to take from me. Instead, he gave me a platform, a purpose, a message. And that message is reaching thousands of people, helping them avoid what I went through. So in a weird way, his betrayal created more good than he ever could have. Because he's incapable of creating good, only destroying, only taking. But I can create, I can build, I can give. And I'm using that ability to make sure his betrayal wasn't meaningless. It meant something, it taught something, it changed something. Not just in me, but in everyone who hears this story. If one person reads this and protects their assets before marriage, it was worth sharing. If one person recognizes the red flags and leaves before it's too late, it was worth the pain. If one person finds the strength to fight back and win, it was worth everything. That's legacy, real legacy. Daniel's legacy is debt and restraining orders. Mine is helping others, empowering others, teaching others. I choose my legacy, he's stuck with his. And that's the final victory, not what he lost, but what I gained. I gained wisdom, strength, purpose, peace. Things he can never steal, things he can never touch. Things that are mine, forever. And I'm protecting them, not with legal documents or bank vaults, but with boundaries, with awareness, with self-respect. Those are the real protections, the ones that matter. Daniel tried to take everything, but he couldn't take those. Because those things come from within, from surviving, from growing, from choosing yourself. I chose myself, finally, after 3 years of choosing him. And that choice changed everything. I'm not the woman he married anymore. I'm stronger, wiser, more whole. He's not the man I married either, but he never was. That man never existed. He was a character, a performance, a lie. And I'm done living in his lie. I'm living in my truth now. And my truth is powerful, healing, real. That's what matters, not revenge, not punishment, just truth. The truth that I survived, that I'm stronger, that I won. Not in a petty way, but in the most important way. I won my life back, my peace, my future. And no one can take that from me, ever again. Because I know now, I know who I am, what I'm capable of, what I deserve. And I'll never forget, never settle, never stop protecting myself. That's the promise I made to myself, and I'm keeping it. Daniel broke his promises, but I keep mine. To myself, to my future, to the truth. And that's how you win, not by destroying your enemy, but by building yourself so strong they become irrelevant. Daniel is irrelevant now, a memory, a lesson, nothing more. I'm the story now, the victory, the future. And it's a future he has no part in, no claim to, no access to. I closed that door, locked it, threw away the key. And I'm walking forward, into better things, better people, better love. Love that's real this time, built on truth, on respect, on seeing each other clearly. That's what I have with Michael. That's what I'll always demand moving forward. Because I know the difference now, between real love and performed love. Between partnership and predation, between truth and lies. And I'll never confuse them again, never miss the signs, never ignore my gut. My gut knew something was wrong with Daniel, I just didn't listen. I listen now to my instincts, to my intuition, to that quiet voice that knows truth. And it's never wrong, it was never wrong. I was just too afraid of being alone, too invested in the relationship, too hopeful it would work out. But hope without wisdom is just denial, and I'm done denying reality. I see clearly now, and what I see is a life I'm proud of, a future I'm excited about. Daniel tried to steal that future, but he couldn't, because the future is built by choices. And I'm making better choices now, smarter choices, protective choices. Choices that honor who I am and what I've survived. That's power, real power, the power to choose yourself, to protect yourself, to build yourself. No one can give you that power, you have to claim it. I claimed mine, and I'm never giving it away again. Not to a charming photographer, not to anyone. My power is mine, my life is mine, my future is mine. And I'm writing it myself this time. No one else gets the pen. That's freedom, that's victory, that's truth. And truth is all that matters in the end, the only thing that lasts. Daniel's lies crumbled, my truth stands strong. And I'm standing with it, stronger than ever, ready for whatever comes next. Because I know now I can handle anything, survive anything, overcome anything. I survived him, I can survive anything else life throws at me. And that knowledge is everything, the foundation of everything I build from here. So thank you, Daniel, for teaching me that lesson, for showing me my strength. I didn't know I had it until you tried to break me. But you couldn't, and that's the story. Not how you broke me, but how I broke free.